One more time. Slick and Shiny Tongue-in-Cheek Productions takes you for a magical mystery tour through another place in the area, somewhere around Westmoreland County. We try to learn something about what happened there before the present. We look at the past. Local history is what we're trying to find out about. This is the view that Google Earth gives us from up in the air. I do this at first just to put it in context, showing you where Ruffsdale is, and Tars, Ruffsdale, they're right together, they're very close. Up here is New Stanton, down here is Mount Pleasant. Maybe about 3 miles over this way, you'll run into Ruffsdale and Tars. Now this comes in a bit closer on it, and you can see up here, this is the actual location of what we know is Ruffsdale up here. And down here is the location of Tars. The big feature here that actually caused all of this to happen is the railroad. This is the railroad coming down, the Southwest Branch Railroad, coming down through here and through this way. If the railroad had not happened, this stuff wouldn't be. Now we start to look at Ruffsdale itself. And what we see here, the main feature coming through is the railroad coming right through here. And of course the other streets that make up Ruffsdale. And there is one big factor, I almost called it an artifact here. The old factory, it was the old distillery. This drive, it's called Dillinger Drive or Road here, because the Dillingers started a distillery here. That's what it looked like. It didn't look like that when it started, but it increased in size as time went on. They started up about 1882. Another good shot, trackside. Now we're going to go backwards in time. We're going to see Bethany. That was what was here before anything else was around. Before Ruffsdale or Tars were even thought about, this place called Bethany existed. And up here is where Ruffsdale and Tars happened when the railroad came along. About 1873, excuse me. This road coming through here is what we now know as Route 31. And when you look at Bethany down here, you see right down here a steam grist mill. And there would also be a distillery built right there. And it was Samuel Dillinger who did that. This is about 10 years later. We're going to about 1867. And we're going to look in a little bit closer. Samuel Dillinger has this place up here. And right in the backyard, he has a coal mine. Samuel Dillinger also has this place down here, which also has a coal mine in the backyard right here. There was a real awareness of coal in the area, but there was at this point no way to actually ship it in a big manner. I mean, you could ship it on a farm wagon, but you really needed a railroad to make it profitable. Samuel Dillinger here had two things going on. He had a grist mill and a distillery. He was grinding grain And some of that grain that he was grinding, he would ferment in his distillery and make whiskey. Before you make whiskey, you do have to grind the grain up a bit. Not as fine as you would if you were making flour. Now that is Samuel Dillinger, as an older fellow. He was born about 1810. And as a young man, he got very interested in, well, doing the kind of things that would, bring in some income. He did a lot of things. And early on, he learned to do the distilling business with some of the people, Stauffers and Overholts. These people were all Mennonites. Dillinger was himself a Mennonite. Now here, we're looking at the Bethany, how it relates to what's around it. This is the area up here where we're going to see the towns of Ruffsdale and Tars being created. And when the railroad comes in up here, this is going to be called Bethany Station, for the simple reason that Bethany was the only thing around here that they could name it after. A big factor here is that there was a 10-foot vein of coal. That is nothing to sneeze at. A lot of the coal mines would work on a 5, 6, 7, 8-foot vein, but a 10-foot vein of coal was a big one. And for that reason, once the railroad came through, any of these guys that had a mining operation together wanted to get a piece of the action here. They wanted to get in on it. And we'll see that this area developed quite nicely. This is the railroad coming through. This is the Southwest Branch. This is 1876, showing the railroad coming in. This is now Bethany Station up here. Down here is called Tars Station. Bethany Station would become known as Ruffsdale. This map is not the best. As time goes on, you'll see the alignment of the railroad gets improved. I made this to try to simplify things a bit. And if you're looking at that and saying, is that simplified? Well, I can relate to the confusion that is generated by this stuff, but a lot of things happened here. And I'm trying to just point out the main features. The red line is the Southwest Branch Railroad coming down here. This is a branch that went off to go to other mines. The blue lines are the streams, and you'll notice how the railroads often followed the streams because the streams were the lowland routes. They had figured that out thousands of years ago. Water knows how to find its best level. Here is Bethany, which eventually became known as West Bethany or Old Bethany. Tars is up here. Ruffsdale is up here. A place called Central developed up here because another mine. And another mine here called Ferry. And what is not even on the map, there was a place in here called Snydertown. There was a brewery at Snydertown where they were making beer. And at Ruffsdale, Samuel Dillinger moved his brewery up here, rather his distillery, where he could make whiskey. His distillery previously had been down here in Bethany, but the railroad came through and that gave him shipping, which you just don't have with a horse and wagon. He moved his distillery up here. We saw that at the very beginning, beside the tracks, and the remains of it are still there, but in not very good condition. And I think that's as much as we're going to say for this one. And we'll say so long. And we will see another one on this area, Ruffsdale tars, etc. Thanks for coming along on the trip, and we'll see you again. Bye now.